Hello, everybody. Today we shall study the lesson The Happy Prince. This story is about a prince. When the prince was alive, he was very happy. But after his death, a big statue of his was erected and he could see the whole city from there. He saw the poor, the miserable, and the hungry. And he was very sad, and this chapter tells the story of that happy prince. The statue of a prince stood on a high platform overlooking the city. The prince was called Happy because when he was alive, he always remained happy. But after his death, a big statue was erected at the center of the city and he could see the whole city. The statue of this happy prince was covered with thin gold, and instead of eyeballs, there were two bright shining sapphire stones. In the handle of his sword, a bright ruby stone was placed. When the bird sat in between the feet of the happy prince, it was surrounded with gold. So it thought that it had a bedroom made of gold because it was surrounded by gold all around. As it was about to sleep, as it was putting its head under the wing, suddenly a drop of water fell on it. The bird was surprised because all of a sudden a drop of water fell on it. It was quite surprising. It thought that neither was it raining nor rainy season was going on. The swallow could not believe this because the sky was not cloudy and the stars were shining. Just then another drop of water fell on it. The swallow thought that the statue was useless because it was not able to protect it from the rain. So he thought he should not sleep under this statue. The swallow thought that it was better if it took shelter in a chimney of a house and thought to move away from there because the statue was not able to protect him from rain. But before the bird flew away, the third drop of water fell on it and it looked up. What did he see? Let's find out. As soon as the bird looked up, he saw that the eyes of the happy prince statue were filled with tears. These drops of water were the teardrops falling from the statue's golden cheeks. When the swallow looked at Happy Prince's face, it was looking beautifully in the moonlight. The bird's heart was filled with pity for the weeping statue. It asked the statue that who it was. The statue replied that it was the Happy Prince. The swallow thought that the statue of the Happy Prince, but it was crying. The bird asked the statue that why it was crying. It added that it had soaked it with its tears. The Happy Prince narrated his story to the swallow. The Happy Prince said that when he was alive and he had a human heart, at that time he was not aware what tears were and what sorrow was, as he lived in a palace where there was happiness all around. All the people who used to work in his court used to call him Happy Prince because he used to be happy all the time and he had not seen sorrow at all. And he said that he lived happily and died in happiness only. When he had a human heart, he never cried. He was not aware that tears were because he had seen happiness only and never faced sorrow. Now, when he was dead, he had put him on high in the form of a statue on a pedestal that he could see the whole city and the happiness of the city. He could see that there were so many people living in misery, lack of food, hunger, money, homeless, and many other things. Now, when the statue's heart was made of lead, that is a metal, although it did not have any feelings, then also when it saw all the sadness around him, it became very sad and wept. When the happy prince was telling his sad story, the swallow was thinking about something else in his mind. The bird wondered that the statue of the prince was not made of solid gold. It was surprising. It thought that from outside the statue was covered with gold, but as it said that the heart was made of lead and not of gold. It realized that it was hollow and was not made of solid gold. It saw that the statue was very sad and was crying. So he did not make any personal remarks. It did not comment anything about the statue because it was giving values to the statue's feelings. The statue continued his story. He spoke in a very musical voice that far away there was a house of a poor woman. The window of her house was open and it could see through the window that she was sitting near the table. Her face was thin and she was tired. Her hands were rough and had become red because she had been pricked by the needle. The woman was a seamstress. The woman was embroidering flowers on a gown of the queen's maid who would walk along with the queen during the court ball. The statue said that the lady who was embroidering the gown had a little child who was not well. He was suffering from fever and was asking his mother to give him oranges. His mother was very poor. She had no money. She could only give him water, that also river water, and that is why the little boy was crying. So, the happy prince statue requested the swallow to take out the ruby stones from the hands of its ward and give it to the lady. It added that its feet were fastened to the platform because of which it could not move. The woman was embroidering flowers of a gown of the queen's maid who would walk along with the queen during the court ball. The statue said that the lady who was embroidering the gown had a little boy who was not well. He was suffering from fever and was asking his mother to give him oranges. His mother was very poor and she had no money. She could only give him water, all that also river water, and that is why the little boy was crying. So the happy prince statue requested the swallow to take out the ruby stone from the handle of its sword and give it to the lady. It added that its feet were fastened to the platform because of which it could not move. The swallow replied that it had to go to Egypt. His friends are waiting there. The swallow said that its friends are in Egypt. They are flying near the Nile River and talking to the large lotus flowers which grew there. Soon they would go to sleep, and so it wanted to reach Egypt at the earliest. The statue requested the swallow to stay with him for just one night. He said to him to be his messenger and work on its behalf. He said that the boy was very thirsty and his mother was very sad. So it should go and give the ruby stone to her. At once and again the swallow opposed his request and said that it did not like boys, so why should it help that boy? Moreover, it had to go to Egypt. But the happy prince was very sad. The happy prince was so sad that the swallow felt sorry for him. It said that it was very cold there, but it would stay with him for one night and next morning it would go and do his work. The happy prince thanked him. Finally, the swallow took out the ruby stone from the happy prince's sword, and the bird took the ruby with its beak and flew over the town. As this swallow was on its way to the poor woman's house, it passed the cathedral. The cathedral is a church, and on the church tower, white-colored marble angels were sculptured. When he reached the palace, he crossed the palace and he could hear the sound of the dancings from inside the palace. When the swallow was crossing over the palace, a girl came out on the balcony along with her lover. She was hoping that the gown which she had given to the seamstress for embroidery would be ready on time. She was talking about the same gown on which that lady was doing embroidery, to whom the bird had to give the ruby stones. When the swallow flew over the river, ships also came along the way. Lanterns were hanging on their sail. Finally, the swallow reached the woman's house. The boy was suffering from fever, and for that reason he was not able to go to sleep. So he was turning left and right on his bed, and his mother was very tired due to the work for long and had fallen asleep. Such a pitiable condition. The swallow put the ruby stone on the table near the thimble. After keeping the stone on the table, the swallow went near the boy as his mother was sleeping and no one was taking care of him. It took its wings near him, because of which the boy could feel the cold air and felt better. The boy felt that he was getting better and went to sleep. With this, we can make out that the swallow was a kind-hearted bird. The swallow flew back and went to the statue of Happy Prince and told him what all he had done. Now the bird felt warm. It says that it was very strange that it was feeling little warm even though the weather was very cold. Here, sarcasm. It was cold outside, but still the bird was feeling warm. Warm and kindness because it has helped somebody. The prince said that it was feeling warm because it had done a good deed. It had helped someone. After listening to the happy prince, the swallow started thinking, and when he started thinking, he felt sleepy because whenever he thought, he used to feel sleepy. Next morning, the swallow bird went to the river and took a bath and thought that that night he would reach Egypt. He was very happy for that. And when it was night, the moon rose in the sky, and the swallow went to the happy prince and sought permission to leave for Egypt. Now again the happy prince requested the swallow to stay back for one more night, and the swallow replied disheartened that he needed and wanted to go to Egypt because all his friends were waiting for him. Now here the happy prince is telling the swallow about his second work. He says that far across the city I could see a small dark room at the top of a house where a young man was sitting. He was sitting on a desk on which the papers were spread out, and he was trying to work hard. He had a glass lying near him in which withered flowers were lying. Further, the prince said that the boy needed to finish writing a play as he was a writer, and he had to give the play to the director after writing. But he did not have the strength to write any more because he was feeling very cold. The boy had no money, so that's why the swallow understood what the prince was trying to tell him. He knew that the happy prince wanted to help this boy, so agreed to stay back one more night. And further, the swallow asked the happy prince if he could take another ruby to give it to the young playwright. The prince said that it was very sad that he did not have any more rubies with him. Happy Prince said that now he had his eyes, which were made of very precious and rare sapphire stones, which had been brought thousands of years ago from India. So Happy Prince told Swallow to take out one sapphire and give it to the boy. The swallow was very sad to learn that the happy prince wanted to give his eyes to that boy, and he started crying. He told the happy prince that he could not do that. But then the happy prince ordered the swallow to do that, what he was telling him. So finally, the swallow took out one sapphire out of the prince's eye, and flew to the young man's garret. There was a hole on the roof of the room. So the swallow entered the room through that hole. The boy was sitting with his head on his hand, and that's why he did not hear the flutter of the bird's wing. And when he looked up, he saw the sapphire stone lying on the dried flowers. When the boy saw the beautiful stones, he felt that some admirer, some person who praised him, had sent a gift for him. So he thought that this he could now finish his play. Next morning the swallow bird flew down to the harbor and sat on the mast of the ship. He spoke loudly that he was going to Egypt, and when it was night he flew back to the happy prince. Swallow once again told the happy prince that it had come to say goodbye. He was going to Egypt because all his friends were waiting there. And once again the happy prince requested the swallow to stay back with him for one more night. The swallow said to the happy prince that the winter season had started and after some time it would start snowing. The weather in Egypt was warm and even the crocodiles lay on the mud lazy there. So he told him to let him go to Egypt. Now this was the third assignment. The happy prince said that there was a match girl. She was a little girl and all her matchsticks had fallen in the gutter and got wet. All the matchsticks were spoiled so she could not sell them and she would not learn any money. So earning of money was very important. And when she could go home without money, then her father would get angry and beat her. For this reason the girl was crying. Further, the happy prince said that she was not wearing shoes or stockings and she had not covered her head. So she was extremely poor. So he said to the swallow to take another sapphire from his eyes and give it to her so that her father did not beat her. The swallow agreed to stay with him for one more night, but he refused to take out another sapphire because if he did that, then the happy prince will be blind. Again, happy prince told the swallow to do what he had ordered him. But the happy prince said to the swallow that he should go to Egypt. But the swallow refused and said that he would stay with him only, and she slept on the prince's feet. The happy prince said to the swallow to tell him wonderful things, but added that nothing was more wonderful than the suffering of people all around. No misery was bigger than the sadness, and he wanted to know who all were sad in his kingdom. So he asked the swallow to go and let him know what was he seeing while he was flying over the city. Further, the swallow saw two little boys under the archway of the bridge. They were lying much close to each other so that they kept themselves warm. They were so poor they did not have food. They were trying to keep themselves warm. The swallow went back to the happy prince and told him what he had seen in the city. The happy prince told that his whole body was covered with fine gold. He could take tiny pieces of gold from his body and give it to the poor people, those who needed it. All the living things required money, and when they would get gold, they would feel happy. Slowly, the swallow took out the gold layers from the statue of the happy prince, and as he removed the layers of gold, the happy prince statue started looking ugly, dull, and dirty. As the statue of the prince started looking dull and grey, the children grew happier because through it they were getting food to eat. Finally, it started snowing, and when a lot of snow fell, everything froze. Everyone was wearing clothes made of fur. Small children were wearing red colored caps and roaming here and there. They were skating on ice. The bird did not want to die, so he used to go to the bakery where the baker used to bake the bread, to eat the bread crumbs and try to keep himself warm by flapping his wings. The swallow was aware that he was about to die. He had only enough strength to fly back to the statue of Happy Prince. And he says, Happy Prince, though that swallow wanted to go to Egypt, but he could not. The swallow bird said to the happy prince that he was not going to Egypt but to house of death. He added that death was the brother of sleep. He kissed the happy prince on his lips and fell down to the feet of the happy prince and died. As soon as the bird died on the feet of the happy prince, an unusual sound came out from the statue. The sound was of the breaking of the statue's heart, which was made of lead. The heart broke because of the death of his beloved bird, but it is said that it was so cold that the heart broke into two pieces. The next morning, the mayor of the city, along with his councillors, were taking a round of the area where the statue of the prince was erected. And when he crossed the statue and looked at it, he said that the statue of the happy prince looked very untidy. All the councillors agreed, and whatever the mayor used to say, they all asserted that the statue looked indeed very tidy and it has to be removed. The mayor noticed that the ruby stone which was placed in the handle of the sword was missing. The sapphire from the statue's eyes were also missing, and the layer of gold from his body was also missing. The mayor said that it seemed as if it was the statue of a beggar, and the town councilors agreed with it. The mayor noticed that a dead bird was lying on the feet of the statue. Then he told the councillors to pass an order that the birds were not allowed to die on the feet of the statue, and the town clerk made a note of the suggestions given by him. The art professor of the university said that now the statue of the prince did not look beautiful and was not useful anymore, so they should demolish it and remove it. So they melted the statue, which was made of lead, in a furnace. The supervisor of the foundry saw a strange thing. The heart of the Happy Prince statue, which was broken into two pieces, was not melting in the furnace. So they threw that away. Coincidentally, they threw the heart of the Happy Prince where the dead swallow was also lying. God asked one of his angels to bring him the two most precious things of the city. The angel brought two pieces of heart of the statue and of the dead swallow bird. God said to the angel that it had brought the right thing. It had chosen the right things, which were indeed the most precious things of the city. He said that the bird would always sing in the garden of his paradise, and the happy prince would stay in his city of gold and admire him. The story of the happy prince is indeed sorrowful, but it teaches us a lot of things. We have to serve mankind, we have to help each other, we have to help the poor. And then only God will have mercy on us. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe my channel. Thank you.